with the C&C Auto Show. We have a very special guest with it. I'm going to bring Dave back on. Hello, Dave.
Good morning.
And good morning. I want to introduce you real quick. Dave Marquette, good friend of mine, lives in Atlanta. Him and some partners have a string of absolutely beautiful automotive repair facilities. Some are Euro, some are all makes, all models, but just a great reputation in a lot of different areas. And Dave also is, well, I'm going to just say it. Dave's a smart guy. I mentioned that to Taylor. Mm-hmm. And he would have a lot of insight on things that we're talking about. And Dave, as we go, I want to introduce you to Taylor Bryant, and I think he had heard of you through someone else.
Yeah,
Taylor,
we have some common friends there.
Okay.
So, yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I used to be involved in BMW racing with NASA and things like that. So that's.
Oh, wow. Small world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And when I mentioned your name, he said he knows Rob. I said, yes, he knows Rob. Okay, Dave, some of the things that I was hoping to talk with you about had to do with, of course, the EV cars. And I don't know which direction you're going to go. So I don't know if you're going to be pro-EV, pro-ICE, in the middle or where, but I did know that you would have the insight we're looking for. So I want to start by saying, what do you like about EV cars?
So I've got 10 cars at the moment in all various states of disrepair, as you'd expect from a automotive enthusiast. Mostly ICE cars, with the exception I've got one 2023 BMW iX. Trying to see what's coming down the pipeline in the future for us. And I bought it to, again, learn about and see its practicality and whatnot. It has a lot of nice new tech features that are going to be coming down the pipeline in the ICE cars either way, but I think the biggest, nicest thing is when you wake up in the morning and pull out of the driveway, you, figuratively speaking, have a full tank of gas.
Right.
You can plug in and charge at home. And if you're in a non-extreme expensive electricity area like we are in most of Georgia that's paying, 8 to 12 cents per kilowatt hour, then a full tank of gas costs you, again, anywhere from $8 to $12. So that there's definitely a very large advantage there over an ICE car that's paying, especially if you drive nicer ICE cars that are using premium fuel, $3.50 a gallon is kind of the norm at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Well, Dave, what about EV cars do you have concerns about?
I would say the most monumental shortcoming right now is the energy density problem in general, which translates to, again, a shorter range, especially in a market like Metro Atlanta or Houston or Dallas, where the average commuter is driving a significant amount every day. The car that we have has a claimed low 300-mile range. That equates on Atlanta highways to about 250 miles, thereabouts. If you can keep it under 60, then you can actually get closer to about 300. But if any of you have driven around the perimeter of Metro Atlanta, you'll be squashed.
You got to double that.
Y'all do 60 in the neighborhoods through there. So.
Yes, exactly. So the lack of total range is definitely one big issue. And on top of, if you have a claimed 300-mile range, 250-mile range, whatever it might be, the other big factor that a lot of people don't think about is when you've got an ICE car, you will run that thing. How many times, especially in the automotive industry, have we got in a customer's car and it's got 3 miles to empty?
Yes.
And they want us to change their oil or whatever. And, people will just run their cars a lot lower, and thus they get a lot more of their total available range, if you will, each and every time they fill up, versus a ICE car or a EV vehicle where you really can't run below 30 or 40 miles, or the range anxiety really starts kicking in hardcore.
Yes.
We've taken ours on a couple road trips to Florida, Tennessee, North Carolina, and you really end up cutting your range to about 200 miles on a 300-mile range car, because again, you have to plan ahead because the charging infrastructure is not there yet. Imagine only having a gas station about every 50 to 60 miles on the side of the interstate. And that's where we're currently at, especially if you don't have a Tesla. Teslas are a little better, but not miles and miles and miles better. And then, in addition to that, when you do need to charge on the side of the highway, currently a lot of the charging stations are in places that are financially feasible versus convenience. One day I envision there will be a, kind of Starbucks looking, charging station. But right now, a lot of the non-Tesla charging stations, for instance, on the highway, are done through a company called Electrify America, and they're in the outskirts of a Walmart parking lot, typically in the middle of nowhere, because that's where it's financially feasible for them to take up, a small portion of a parking lot. So you end up kind of hanging out in your car for 20 to 40 minutes in a weird Walmart parking lot in the middle of nowhere. So those are the, couple biggest things. If you are in a, downtown area and your commute is very short, they make a lot of sense. But if you live in a metroplex like Atlanta and you're out in the suburbs, or you're in a place like Augusta and you're running around a lot, the charging infrastructure coupled with the lack of range is a severe inhibiting factor right now. And so you're seeing most people in those markets have a ICE car and an EV car, and they both serve their own function. My wife daily drives the EV car. She loves it. She came from a X5 diesel that had 550 to 600 miles to a tank of diesel. So she would go to the gas station every 2 weeks. And now she loves, she commutes nowhere and, does 30, 40 miles a day at most. Sometimes she'll run out to the west side of town from where we live on the east side and chew up, 80 to 100 miles of range. And then forget to plug it in, and then starts the next day with, 40, 50% of range left, which, she calls me and she's like, hey, where do I charge this thing? I don't, how do I work this app? Where am I supposed to go? Yeah. So there's definitely some nuance to it.
Dave, you are awesome, man. We got about a minute, and I want to be sure to have time to ask you this question. Do you think we're moving too fast, too slow, or about right on moving toward EV cars?
Specifically EVs, I think a little too fast. I think the plug-in hybrid needs to be investigated further and is the stopgap wave of the future that gets you best of both worlds. We got our COO, a plug-in hybrid. He gets 40 miles, 50 miles on electricity only, and he has a twin-turbo V6 for when the electricity runs out. That gets him another 450 miles and is the perfect best of both worlds that keeps everybody happy.
Dave, you said that very well, and that is exactly my thoughts also. I love hybrid, except for I love power, too. I like and you can have the best of both worlds in some cases. But, Dave, you have been absolutely wonderful to give us that insight on the EV world, and you have give us a great starting point on our ICE versus EV debate that we're having here.
Absolutely. And tell Rob I said hey.
I will do. You
Okay.
guys enjoy your morning.
All right, you too.
Thank you. And I appreciate the call too, Dave.